Morning, Heldy. How are you? Welcome in, everybody. Friday edition TDN Daily, Friday free for all. I'm still doing some behind the scenes stuff to tweet stuff out and get stuff where it needs to be. So you guys know the drill. Topics that you guys want addressed for today's show, please throw those questions, those comments into the chat so I can see them once we get the show started. But I got to do a little bit more behind the curtain stuff to get everything ready, and I'll be back in just a second. Hello, everybody. I see Tuttle just joined. Sports not already getting off to a great start. I'm just finishing some stuff here behind the scenes real quick. So just give me a quick second. But you guys know the drill. Friday free for all. Whatever you guys want me to mention, what you guys want me to talk about in the chat, please throw it in there ahead of time so we can have a nice backlog of topics, and we'll see where those topics take us. I have a couple that we can talk about, and we can go from there. So just, Sports Nut, I see you're already off to a great start, but whatever else you guys have that you want my thoughts on to close out the week, please go ahead and throw those in there. But just give me just 2 more minutes. I just need to finish something up. Okay, back ready to go. Sent out the tweets, put it in the Discord, did everything that I needed to do here. We'll transition to the big screen here. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday to you all. We are getting ready to go here for the Friday free for all edition. Hope everybody who was able to be a part of the TDN Premium live reaction show that Jamie and I did for the schedule release was able to be a part of that. If you were not, it is going to be a part of the Prospects. And it's actually, I think, posted. I think I hit publish on it this morning. It's in the Prospects and Props podcast feed this morning. It's raw. It's basically mainly unedited. There's no intro music on it. It is just our raw kind of thoughts dumped out there of what we did on the show last night. So it should be a pretty interesting one. There in the chat, and I can already see Sam Teets up to no good here to start the day, but it's all right. We appreciate it here. We'll let you have your moment in the sun here on the show. There's also a story on the DraftNetwork.com that was put together that I haven't necessarily had a chance to dive into and react to yet, which is the potential Week 1 headlines post NFL schedule release. So we've got that as well if we want. To get into that. So if you guys are ready, we've already got a bunch of different topics to get into. I will press record and we can get this show started. And welcome in to the Friday edition of the TDN Daily Podcast. Chris Schubert back with you here once again on the show. Hope everybody is having a great start to their Friday, the close of the week. You guys know the drill, the Friday free-for-all. I take the producer's role where I come up with the topics and I just hand it off to you, the live YouTube chat, and you guys dictate whatever direction we go in here on the Friday edition of the show. Probably my favorite show of the week. It's very interactive. We go in all sorts of different directions, and I will tell you, based on what is already in the chat in the 5 minutes before we started with the podcast recording, we've got a bunch of different directions that we're going to go in, and over the course of the show, more stuff will absolutely be thrown in there. Appreciate everybody who joined us for the TDN Premium Hangout, where we reacted to the schedule release. Jamie and I shared our thoughts on that. If you're a listener to Prospects and Props, you will get to hear that if you missed it yesterday. That's in your podcast feed this morning, so you've got that as well. So looking forward to you guys all hearing that. If you didn't get a chance to hear it last night, it was a lot of fun. So, all right, we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the drill. We bounce around. We go all over the place. There is no true flow to the show. It just goes in different directions, and we sidebar based on the different directions. It is just absolutely chaotic. And Sportsnut has started off with I will say the first three are all somewhat similar. They're all about trades, but I don't know where I stand on any of these, and so we're going to workshop this as we go through the show here today. So Sportsnut has Dalvin Cook will be playing in blank this season. And Sportsnut, I think it's a great question, right? Because the team that we rumored, and allow me to pull this up here, the team that we rumored to be interested the most in Dalvin Cook was potentially the Miami Dolphins, right? Well, they used a draft pick on a running back, selecting Devon Achane. They've already got Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., right, in that room. So that's not to say that those players would stop them from adding Dalvin Cook. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just taking in the way that they've approached this offseason, and I'm taking in the way that they used one of their only 4 draft picks in the 2023 NFL Draft, and I just wonder if Dalvin Cook is still a potential option for them. Then what you need to do is you then need to look at, okay, if we're ruling out Miami, what team makes some sense? So I have pulled up our lads, and I have it sorted by position, and I have it sorted by running back and by team, and I'm scrolling through. I don't think they're going to want to trade him to an NFC team, right? That feels pretty unlikely that they're going to want to trade him to a team where he could potentially, hurt them. Are we ruling out a potential Austin Eckler for Dalvin Cook swap in some capacity? I know that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, and I know we don't normally see those types of player-for-player trades where it's 2 players that want out of their current situation. But is there not some value there for both sides to potentially do that? I mean, do the Chargers want to pay Dalvin Cook? Would the Minnesota Vikings be interested in giving Austin Eckler a contract? That's a team that doesn't. I don't know the intricate workings of how those teams want to address the running back position. Sportsnut, that's a good shout. If the Bengals do move on from Joe Mixon and they don't want to necessarily give it all the workload or the majority of the workload to Chase Brown right away, they could trade for Dalvin Cook. Again, if you're trading for Dalvin Cook, he's your starter. So you have to be a team that has an immediate need or could have an immediate need for a starting running back. And so when I look at this, I don't see a lot of teams. I mean, specifically in the NFC, I don't think there's going to be a team that makes some sense. When we look in the NFC, Tennessee's got Derrick Henry. The Jags have Travis Etienne, Jonathan Taylor in Houston. In Indy, Houston's got Dameon Pierce. They could be a team that could make some sense. But I don't know. Is Houston in the life cycle where they're going to be acquiring a running back? Could the Broncos do it if Williams isn't healthy? I mean, we've got Samaje Perine, we've got Tony Jones Jr. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a ton of options there. So if Javonte Williams but see, Sam, the hold up there for me is, are you just trading for Dalvin Cook to be an immediate Williams replacement? Because Javonte is going to be your long-term answer. And if you're bringing in Dalvin Cook, he's not just going to play 1 year for you. You're probably going to bring him in and work on a new deal, and he's going to be your running back for the next couple of years. So I don't know. That feels a little weird to me. They could do it, right? If he's not healthy, they could use him as a stopgap. But again, like, Dalvin Cook doesn't feel to me like a 1 year stopgap option. If you're trading for him, it's for a couple of years. Jamie says he's here for the expensive for none, not here for the Friday free for all. Here for the expensive for none. Jamie, that's a different show. You got to go to a different channel for that. No, Chargers wouldn't want to trade for Cook, but they could sign him and then maybe trade Eckler. I like the Bills. I mean, James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, Nyheim Hines. That's the running back room. And they just redid Nyheim Hines' deal. Are they going to carry 5 running backs? Sam, you know what I meant. Sam says there's no such thing as a long-term answer at running back. You know what I meant. Trading for a guy to be able to fill in for Javonte Williams is a short-term, just this season answer. Dalvin Cook doesn't fit that box. Maybe the Jets can add another running back. You know what? It's a great point. Maybe they could add to that room. But yeah, I don't see any immediate answers. I mean, the Bengals, if they move on from Joe Mixon, probably jump to the front of the list. Houston, if they really wanted to, they could do it. Again, I don't think they're in the state of their life cycle as a franchise that that's something that they should be considering, but they could do it. And again, I'm ruling out any NFC team. I just am. I just don't think that any of those teams are gonna. The Vikings are gonna want to trade Dalvin Cook within the conference. I think they're gonna try to move him to an AFC team. And again, how about the Jags? We got Travis Etienne, we got Tank Bigsby, JaMychal Hasty, Dearness Johnson, Snoop Connor. It's our current room. Peterson loves multi-running back stuff. He certainly does. Travis Etienne, more of a gadget player. You can utilize him a little bit more than just in the running game, right? Which could allow you to get creative with how you spread these guys out. I'm more intrigued in it now that you said it out loud than I was maybe 5 minutes ago in looking at it. I think the options are limited, and I think that's why there's a holdup with this. And that's why it's taking a particularly long time. Now, we will flow right along here because Tuttle asks about Derrick Henry trade timeline. Are we sure that there's urgency for the Tennessee Titans to move Derrick Henry right now? Do we feel this great sense that the Tennessee Titans are motivated beyond belief to move on from Derrick Henry right now? Does everybody feel that? I know we've talked about it. I know we've mentioned that they could move on from Derrick Henry. I know there have been some rumblings that they've moved on from Derrick Henry. But do we feel that there's this great motivation from the Tennessee Titans? Because I don't. With where they're at right now, they're more than likely going to be starting a rookie quarterback at some point during the season. They're going to need Derrick Henry to help Will Levis out. And so for me, the timeline does not exist right now because I don't know when they would even begin to truly, seriously consider this. Now, Tuttle's asking, should there be motivation and should there be commitment to doing so? I don't know. Let's ask this question of the chat here. Chat, live YouTube audience here for the Friday Free For All. What's more valuable to the Tennessee Titans? The trade compensation that they could get for Derrick Henry, or what Derrick Henry could provide in the progression and growth and development of Will Levis. Being able to have a balanced attack on offense, being able to run the football, to open things up for Will in the passing game. What's more valuable to the Tennessee Titans? Is it the trade package, or is it the potential help of the development of Will Levis? Drew says trade compensation. Now, okay, let's agree here on what the trade compensation is. The compensation for Henry because his value will only decline. It will, but what if the year or two that you keep Derrick Henry is super helpful to getting your franchise quarterback? Then do you really need the trade compensation? You're going to have draft picks over the next couple of years. You drafted a replacement in Tajay Spears. We can debate how long-term of an answer that's going to be. But To me, there might be more value in keeping Derrick Henry. The comp right now is probably a second or a third rounder. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's more value because again, you trade Derrick Henry, you've got Tajay Spears in the backfield. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. The offense in general, we've made fun of the Tennessee wide receiver group plenty of times, not just on this show, but in TDN staff meetings of how bad of a group it is, that there might be some college wide receiver groups that would be better than Tennessee. I need to have every player on offense that could even remotely help Will Levis, Malik Willis, whoever's under center for my team this season. You want to be able to develop a quarterback very, very quickly. You want to know whether or not you've got a franchise quarterback. Man, they need to keep him around. I think there's more value in keeping him than there is the second or third rounder. I really, truly do. And then Ryan Tannehill was another name that was mentioned in the course of conversation. Ryan Tannehill, a potential timeline, I think, for a Ryan Tannehill trade, Tuttle, that you mentioned, because you're the guy that mentioned Ryan Tannehill, is I think if a quarterback goes down in training camp, I think they'll call Tennessee up for Ryan Tannehill. But there's probably value in keeping Ryan Tannehill around as veteran leadership and veteran mentorship. Again, this offense, man, you trade Ryan Tannehill, you trade Derrick Henry, it's the worst offense in football. Like, there's nothing even remotely close to being as bad as what Tennessee is going to be putting on the field this year. I mean, go look at the depth chart. Go look at that wide receiver room. Go look at what they're putting. It is not particularly good. And now you're going to trade the only two real identifiable players still on that team. That's tough. And you're building a new stadium in a couple of years. And I guess the idea is that they really want to kind of tear this thing down and build it back up in time so that when that new stadium gets built, that they're a team that's rocking and rolling and they can sell out every seat in that building and they can make money hand over fist, right? That appears to be the mindset that they're going into this whole process with. But, man, I don't know if trading Tannehill and trading Derrick Henry, if the draft capital is worth the hit that you're going to take from not just a PR perspective, but from a team perspective, what that does for you. Tuttle says the optics to their fans say keep Henry. The half-hearted rebuild keeps them floating around 500 at best. Should follow the Houston route. I understand the sentiment, Tuttle, but I guess my counter to that would be is that like Houston tore it all down, and this season they use 2 draft picks to go out and get pass rusher, go out and get the quarterback. In Tennessee's mind, they might have gotten the quarterback. They might have gotten Will Levis. So in their mind, it's almost kind of like it's go time. Like this season's going to be year 1, the rookie year. Will's going to take his lumps. He's going to develop. He's going to play. And then year 2 is where they're going to hit the ground running. They don't really need to tear it down if they feel like they have the quarterback. I think what you're saying there is you're not maybe necessarily a believer in Will Levis, but I think they are. I think they are a believer that he is their path out of this. And so there is no real need to tear it down. And I would argue what's there to tear down? There's not a whole lot left for them to move on from other than Derrick Henry. And Ryan Tannehill, you've already moved on from anyway. So your value couldn't be any lower from what you're going to get for him in a trade unless there is some urgency on another team where an injury strikes and now they need a quarterback option, right? If there's a necessity for Ryan Tannehill for another team. Guy gets hurt, maybe San Francisco has another quarterback injury and they call up Tennessee asking about Ryan Tannehill. That's where that could become a more interesting thing. So to me, I think they just need to stay the course, and it's not going to be pretty. 2023 is not going to go very well for them, but I think I see what they're trying to do. I don't love it. The division's kind of open for the taking. I don't think the Jags have a firm grasp on it. Indy's on the rise. Houston's also on the rise. And I think Tennessee is a little okay with it, just kind of sitting back right now, hovering around 500 and probably a little bit below 500 and just slowly kind of putting themselves back in contention here down the road. Heldy had a question, and guys, keep throwing things in there that you want us to discuss here throughout the course of the show. Heldy said, will we get NFL expansion in the near future? If so, where do you think would be suitable? Define near future. If you define near future as the next 3 to 5 years, I would say that yes, I think the NFL expands in the near future within the next 3 to 5 years. Where? I think the where is pretty easy. I think you're going to put, and it's got to be 4 teams because they're going to do a European division, and so you cannot just put 1 or 2 teams. So it would be 4 teams all at once coming into the league. And I think the easy answer right now, based on everything that the NFL is telling us with how they're conducting their business, is that they will put 2 in London and they will put 2 in Germany. That is what I think is the most likely outcome out of this venture right now. So Heldy says next 5 years, then yes, I think they will expand in the next 5 years. And I think that it will be 4 teams. I think it has to be 4 teams. And I think it will be 4 teams, 2 in London and 2 in Germany. And I think that is what they will do. And then slowly, with those teams in London and in Germany, I wonder if they'll start to look at other potential markets there in the EU that could make some sense for them. And geographically, a lot's on the table. You've heard me talk about this in the past, that there are, from a geographical perspective, Italy's close enough. France is close enough. Those are, just 2 countries from a geographical perspective. You think, man, that's a lot of travel. It's really not. It's almost the same distance from London to Italy and France as it is for the Seahawks to come down to play the Arizona Cardinals. Right? That's how close the distance is. So that to me is the plan here, is that the next 5 years they're going to do the division. Well, Heldy, if they move the Jags, right, and that's one of the things, if they move the Jags as part of this, right, it still needs to be 4 teams. It's going to be 3 quote-unquote expansion franchises in Europe, and then they would have an expansion franchise in the United States to fill the gap of the Jags. So San Antonio, like you mentioned, Mexico City, like you mentioned, those are things that the NFL could consider. They could also consider a Canadian team if they wanted to. So if we are to believe that the Jags are going to move over, and oh, by the way, we're going to have a test balloon for this because it looks like TIAA Bank Stadium is going to get renovated in the next couple of years. And the mayor came out yesterday or the day before and said they might not be able to play there in 2025, 2026, talking about the Jags. So if that needs to be the case, that's 2 years from now. So now, for the next 2 years, the NFL knows that they're probably going to have to find a temporary home for the Jaguars. If they are able to, behind the scenes over the next 2 years, start to put together the framework for all of the different potential options for expansion, and then do the 2-year trial balloon of the Jags already over there, and then they continue to work on the finances for all these other expansion teams, and then what they can do, they can say, okay, Jags, you're going to stay there. You prove that this can work. Now, Jacksonville might not be particularly happy about retrofitting TIAA Bank Stadium and fixing it all up, and then the carpet gets pulled out from underneath them with this move. And so we'll see what that timeline looks like. But that would kind of work if the Jags have to play 2 years in 2025 and 2026. That would work on the timeline that I'm talking about. And so that is something to kind of soft circle and keep an eye on. Hell, do you want an NFL team in San Diego again? I do not think they're going to do that. I think San Antonio is in the mix. Let's think. What states? They could do another Texas team. They could do Austin. They could do Austin if they want. If there is an expansion team, the NFL will likely need to come up with at least 2 teams, maybe more. It'll end up being a minimum of 3. Because if they move the Jags, they have to put 3 in Europe, and they would have to replace them here. So actually, I think it's a minimum of 4. St. Louis, Jamie says. We could do that. We could do St. Louis. What other cities could make some sense? Toronto should happen, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know what the NFL's relationship is with the CFL in that regard. Do they have like a working agreement to not infringe on the Canadian territory? Because Toronto would make so much sense. And weren't there rumors? Somebody in the chat, please correct me if I'm wrong here. But weren't there rumors of Buffalo moving to Toronto if they couldn't get their new stadium deal when they had the ownership problem? Right? Wasn't that a thing? Buffalo would block them, not the CFL. Does Buffalo have that? They have that kind of power? Can you do that as an NFL team? Can you say that this is too close? You're infringing on our fans? Because then my answer would be get better fans. That would be my argument. Get more hardcore fans that wouldn't just jettison for Toronto. San Antonio. Well, where's Austin? This is fun, right? You put Texas on a map, and I have no idea where the cities are. Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. I have no idea where they are on a map. It's just all the same. Like in my mind, they're all just in the middle of Texas. And I know that's not how it works, clearly, but like just to me, it's all clumped together. Where's Austin in relation to Dallas and Houston? Is it like in the middle? Is it far enough away where we could potentially do Austin as a team? Like what? Somebody help me. Somebody who is better at geography than I am. I've got the European geography figured out for NFL expansion. Can somebody work on the U.S. geography for me? Can somebody be a part of that logistics team? Austin is 2 hours away from San Antonio. Well, that doesn't really help. Where's Austin in relation to Dallas and Houston? Or is it because I don't know where that doesn't. I don't know what that does for me. I don't know where San Antonio is on a map. And I have no problem admitting I don't know where these teams are on a map, but I just don't. Oklahoma City, that's an interesting one. Let's pull. You know what? We're here. It's the Friday free for all. Give me a map of the United States. Here we go. Give me a map of the United States, please, on the second screen experience over here on the right. Images. Thank you very much. Give me images, please. Austin is 3.5 hours from Dallas. We could put a team in Austin. Oh, this is a printable map. Austin to Houston is 165 miles. Drew, I just did a whole thing. It's not even a bit. I did a whole thing where I told you I couldn't identify where they are on a map. You think talking to me in miles is going to give me any sort of frame of reference? Unbelievable. I would like to see this map, please. Here we go. Austin is about 3 hours from Houston. El Paso is closer to Los Angeles than the other side of Texas. Jamie, that's the kind of information I need. Thank you for giving me the third grade. It's closer to this state than it is this state. Thank you very much. Let's look at this. Could we? Okay, folks, I'm going to throw out a very Heldy. It was just what I was going to say because I'm looking at them on a map. They're talking about getting a baseball team. Salt Lake City was a city that I was going to throw out there. Could we put a team in Salt Lake City? We've already got a team in Vegas. I don't think we're going to put a team in Oregon. I'm just looking at states that don't have teams right now. I don't know of another. They're Long Island. We could put a team on the island. South Carolina. What do we think about South Carolina? Do we think that's a potential option? Somebody says Oklahoma in the chat. I'm trying to just think of teams. I'm trying to immediately go to states that don't have teams. We can't do anything in the Northeast, right? We can't do Maine. We can't do New Hampshire, Vermont. No, all those. New England would block that, right? They would just block that. Tuscaloosa. We don't need to put a team in Tuscaloosa. We've already basically got a pro team there. They basically have a pro team that plays every Saturday, so we don't really need Tallahassee. The NFL doesn't strike me that they're going to go into like at least like mid-tier markets. Like mid-major. I know it's my gimmick, but like mid-major is probably like the bottom of this. Nashville, I mean, we've already got the Tennessee Titans. We're not putting another team in Tennessee. We've already got the Titans that are literally across the river. I've been there. You can't put another team there. I think, what do we think? Do we think New Mexico? What do we think about New Mexico? This is just completely derailed into geography here on the show, but I'm okay with it. Salt Lake City, I think, is our best one that we've suggested so far. I know somebody mentioned Portland, but I've heard nothing about that. No? Say no to what? No to Santa Fe? Or we're out on Santa Fe. Okay. Salt Lake City's a good one. Portland, I think we should maybe at least put on the short list. Can they sell beer in Salt Lake City? No. Can they? I don't remember. I know there are some rules in Utah where there are cities where they're dry cities. Places can't sell. I'm sure they could get an exception if they were going to get a football team. But we'll see how the government there in Utah chooses to deal with things. I think Tech. Okay, put a team in Hawaii. What do we think about that? We're putting teams in Europe. Why can't we put a team in Hawaii? What's the problem with that? San Antonio, Salt Lake City, Mexico City, and Oklahoma could be their own little region expansion. So San Antonio's over here. New Salt Lake City. I mean, those are kind of far. Louisville. We could put a team in Kentucky. Oklahoma City, top 25 in population in the U.S. Good size market. Yeah, I think we've got. You know what? I think we've got a good little cluster here of teams that we could consider. I think Salt Lake City's one. I think Portland's one. I think Austin's one. San Antonio is one. Mexico City. I think we could put a team in like Vancouver or Toronto. Put a team in Montreal. Can we put a team, Jamie? Can we put a team in Montreal? What would Buffalo have to say about that? Would Buffalo be able to block that one? Because we could put a team in Montreal. You can't have the Expos back, but we'll give you a football team. That seems like a pretty good deal. All right, what else you guys want to talk about here as we wrap up the Friday free-for-all edition of the show? Anything else that... Too French. Come on. I think that would be a very, very good football market there in Montreal. I think that would work. That would work very, very well. I think we came up with some good options there. We could put a team in New Jersey and call it New York. Sam, I don't appreciate your trolling. Oh, I have your take to get to from all the way back at the beginning of the show. So, all right, unless somebody sneaks more stuff in here. These 2 takes from Sam are going to be the last for the podcast edition of the show. So if you want to get your stuff into the podcast edition of the show, this is your last chance, okay? So I'm going to read these 2 takes from Sam. I'm gonna react to them, and then I'm gonna scroll all the way back to the bottom of the chat, and I'll get to the rest of the stuff, and then we'll get out of here. Sam T says, "Take Jordan Love will pass for more yards in 2023 than Aaron Rodgers." Thank you, Sam, for the troll, and I'm not even gonna acknowledge that. Sam, his other take: neither the Cardinals nor the Texans have a top 2 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. So neither the Cardinals nor the Texans have a top 2 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. So that means that at best, these teams are picking 3 and 4. Meaning I have to find 2 teams, that I think are going to be worse than the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans in the year 2023. I have to find 2 teams that are worse than the Cardinals and Texans in 2023. Tennessee is a consideration. I have no idea what to make of the Rams. We'll throw the Rams there on the list as well, of teams that just could be downright awful. Those 2 teams. The Patriots' schedule, folks, they could be in the mix here if things go completely haywire. So the Patriots I'm going to put on this list. I'm going to sell this take. I am going to sell this take. I think at least one of them will have a top 2 pick. And that means the Cardinals de facto have a top 2 pick. But I think one of those picks will end up being inside the top 2. All right, I'm scrolling down to the bottom. Favorite and worst team schedule announcements. Favorite and worst team schedule announcements. I didn't really consume a lot of the team schedule announcements. Just not my thing. The Chargers did their thing again? Did the Chargers do their thing again with their, because that's probably good. Yeah, I mean if they did what they did last year, then they're the winner. Because I saw the one they did last year, and I'm assuming that they just did a better one this year. So that would be my guess. Yeah, if they did the anime thing again, then I'm in. I'm in on the Chargers. I'm totally 100% bought into that. So, okay. That is going to do it for the podcast edition of the show. Appreciate everybody being here all week long on the podcast version of the show. You got to come and join us on the video version. You saw how the chat took over the show here on a Friday, the Friday free-for-all. They take over the show most days, but the Friday free-for-all is where we really let it all just be chaotic and hectic. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we are live over on the YouTube channel. We've got the post show that we have as well, and I'll tease it here to make you go listen to the post show. We're going to talk about Tom Brady in the post show. He's part of the graphic today for the show, and I got to get to him or else it's kind of false advertising. So that's what we're going to have in the post show. But appreciate everybody making this show part of their day, rating, reviewing, subscribing to the podcast. Hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll talk to you all on Monday. Okay, we're in the post show, and I have to talk about Tom Brady becoming a limited partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Jamie mentioned it before that we need to talk more about how Jimmy G can't get away from Tom Brady. This is my takeaway from this story. This is how I will phrase this. Does this do anything to dispel the rumors of what happened a couple of years ago with Brady and the Dolphins? Does this do anything to make those feel like they didn't actually happen, that those conversations didn't actually happen? Because it certainly doesn't for me. If he's immediately after retiring going right into owning a part of a team, there is no doubt in my mind that was what was going to go down in Miami. And what does limited partner even mean? Right? Like, how, what kind of percentage? Like, I would like to see more of the details here before I completely. Brady was going to continue owning the AFC East. Yes, he was. Also, Brady's been in the news a ton lately. The return to New England this year. Heldy, very good. I'll read it here. Tom Brady, more like Tom Lamey. Very good, Heldy. Did I deliver it the way you wanted it to be delivered? Probably super minority ownership. Doesn't limited partner mean they don't have any control? Well, yes, that's what it means, but he is going to have a percent ownership. And I guess the question that I would have is, like, why the Raiders? Why is that the team I'm disappointed that wasn't read on the podcast recording. But you know what? I'm not, because this is why you have to come to the live show. This is why you can't just listen to the podcast feed. You got to be a part of the whole process. What's your prediction for the AFC East this year? Well, sports not. Towards the end of the prospects and props show for today, which was our live reaction to the schedule last night, Jamie asked me for. I now just realized that it looks like I'm talking into the Stanley instead of the microphone, so I'm going to move this. Jamie asked me to predict the Jets' schedule, and we went game by game, and I got them, and I hate that I got them there. I got them to 11 wins, and I think I gave them some games that are toss-ups that they could potentially lose. I'm still of the belief that it is going to be Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots in that order. That is how I feel it's going to play out. That is how I feel. Jalen Hurts is closer to the title of most handsome NFL player than people think. Are there people out there saying that he's not close to the title of most handsome NFL player? I don't know where this is coming from. This is just a very weird take to throw into the end of the show. But yeah, Sportsnet, I think the Bills are going to win the division. I think the Dolphins are going to be very good, and I think the Jets are a leg behind both of those teams. Now, if Tua gets hurt again and misses some time, no, Sportsnet, I don't like that I got them to 11 wins. I think truly they're more in that 8 to 9 win range. I think I gave them a Monday night game against the Chargers. They could very easily lose. That would get them down to 10. And I gave them a Thursday night game on the road at Cleveland late in the season that they could very easily lose, and that would get them to 9. Dolphins schedule is pretty tough. Let me pull up the Dolphins schedule. I haven't seen it in order. Heldy, what kind of content do you consume that you get rankings on like most handsome NFL players? I just got to know, man. I just got to know how we get to those places sometimes. Miami schedule. Miami's 2023 schedule. Let me mute the tab here so you guys don't get any feedback. We start with back-to-back road games at the Chargers, at the Patriots. We're then home against Denver. All right, we're going to be 2-1 after that stretch. NFL TikTok can take you to unexpected places. Fair enough. We're going to be 2-1. We're going to be 2-2. We're going to be 4-2 after week 6. We're going to be 4-3 after week 7. We're going to be... So hold on, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4. We're 5-4 going into the bye. I think we're 5-4. We're 5-4 going into the bye. We could beat the Raiders at home. That's 6-4. I think we'll lose to the Jets on the road. That's 6-5. We'll beat Washington. That's 7-5. We'll beat Tennessee. That's 8-5. We'll beat the Jets at home. That's 9-5. Dallas is tough. We'll go 9-6. Yeah, this is I mean 9. Yeah, this schedule's not easy, but I think the floor is 9. Sadly, the new Zelda game is out today, and that is all that matters. You know, I have to stand by. I gotta still beat this one. Heldy, I got to beat this one before I can go out and spend another $60, $70 on the new one. Can't beat this one yet. The Jets could easily start 0-4. Yes, they need to get to the bye. They need to get to the bye 3-3. Heldy, it's fantastic. I can't beat the first boss, dude. I've been stuck there for months, years, in fact, because I've just put the game down. It's just I can't do it. How is everyone out there coping with the Sun Zell? You know, it is. Some people in the chat will understand this. As somebody who used to work in sports talk radio, specifically in this market, but it applies everywhere, this is both the best and worst day. Like, it is the best and worst day. It's the worst day if you're somebody who is a local sports radio host and you've been in the market forever and you've lived in this market forever and you've been a fan. You did not like what you saw last night. But as the business person, as the sports host in the back of your mind, this is a ratings bonanza because everybody is tuning in today to hear these hosts ether this team for 2 straight years, getting blown out on their home court. So it is both a gift and a curse a day like today. Drew says the Jets could easily start 0-4. Yes, they could. 3-3 is what they need to. They need to get to the bye at 3-3, and I will feel 3-3 at the bye would make me feel extremely comfortable about where they're at as a team. Paige just gets a notification. I don't know how she does it, but she's got like an application where like if somebody says like anything slanderous about the Suns, it like alerts her that she needs to hop in there and say something. So that's how it works. It's like an AI generated thing. But yeah, I think the Jets need to go 3-3, and I'll feel comfortable about where they're at because the back half of their schedule is extremely. It's set up extremely well for them to be able to go on a really, really good run late in the season and potentially go on a deep playoff run if they're able to get hot at the right time. But again, they've got a really tough stretch, and for those who maybe didn't see it, I will pull it up here so that we can see it. Their first 6 games are Buffalo, at Dallas, New England, Kansas City, at Denver, Philadelphia. I think if you're looking for the 3 games that are the winnable games to get to 3-3, you're looking at Dallas, home against New England, and at Denver. Those are the 3. I don't think they're going to win at home against Buffalo. I do not think in any capacity they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and I do not think they're going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it's funny that I think that 3 of those 3 losses are going to be the ones that come at home. You would think that they'll be able to get one of those games. If they get one of Buffalo, Kansas City, or Philadelphia, that sets up very nicely. Because if they're 4-2 going into that bye, the second half of the schedule, like here's what December into January looks like. Atlanta, Houston at home, at Miami, home against Washington, at Cleveland on Thursday night, and at New England. And who knows what that New England team is going to be by week 18. So and even week 12, the last game of November, which is on Black Friday, they play the Dolphins at home. So they could really, from week 12 on, if they can go through they go 4-2, I think they can come out of the bye and beat the Giants. I think they can beat the Chargers and the Raiders. And then they've got really one big test left week 11 in November at Buffalo. So the first 6 weeks are going to dictate this season. Drew says, I really don't get what the draw to the Jets was for Rodgers. I don't know. He seems weirdly like it's weird how much he wanted to be here. And it's weird the way he's presenting it that way. And he continues to present it that way. It's not like it was just like something for the press conference the first time, or like it feels like it was always the Jets here from week 1. It's probably Hackett if I had to guess. He just absolutely loves and respects Nathaniel Hackett. He's given a lot of praise to Saleh from when the Jets and Packers held joint practices Zach's rookie season. And he, appreciated Robert and the way that he conducted a practice. I don't think this had anything to do with it, but these are things that probably we should talk about. He is close with Zach. Him and Zach are close, so they have talked. Specifically during some of the struggles that Zach's had, he's talked with Aaron. So that might have played a role in it, of being able to be there with somebody that he's comfortable with, and being able to mentor somebody, because Aaron knows that he's not going to be. Aaron knows now. The way it worked in Green Bay was different because he had been there forever. Now that he has chosen to move on, right? And he said that he wanted to retire a Packer. He always wanted to play with one team. But now that he's here, I don't think you're going to get the wishy-washiness of like him being upset that if the team chooses to move on. I think he knows that this is a finite agreement and that this is only going to last for a couple of years. So I think he's more agreeable to the idea of coming in and mentoring somebody, especially somebody like Zach, who he appears to be close with. So that could have played a role in as well. Going to a big market probably was another thing that factored in. And Aaron's got an ego, and I don't say that in a bad way. He's got an ego. I think there was something about like, oh, you don't think I can go to the AFC and take on all these great quarterbacks at 39-40, and I can go out there and I can compete and I can take the New York Jets to the playoffs? Okay, watch me. Like that might have also played into his mind as well. So, all of those things could have played a factor. But yeah, it's still weird to me. It is still weird to me that he's on my team. So we'll see how it all plays out. The Jets media circus yesterday was wild after the schedule got released, and everybody rightfully pointed out that the first 6 weeks were a tough stretch for the Jets. And there were some members of the New York Jets media that were talking about how you can't use the term brutal stretch or tough stretch anymore. You have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, and it's like, okay, if these are the expectations that we are setting up for this team, that this is doomed to be a failure. Like this is doomed to not work the way that it is supposed to. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here all throughout the week. Another fun week of shows in the books. I think I mentioned this a little bit ago, but I will announce it again here. Starting on Monday is when my deep dive into these quarterbacks for 2024 begins. I've got my schedule all put together. I'm starting with quarterbacks, and then we'll work into some other position groups and some other players down the road. But I have got a quarterback schedule listed out, and I'm gonna watch these guys. I've got the trusty notebook ready to go with notes, and we'll see what kind of content we can spin that into for us here over on the TDN Daily Show and with Prospects and Props. I know for that show I'll probably do a top 10 rankings list at some point, but maybe we'll weave in some deep dives into some specific players here on this show as well. So appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate everybody making this show a part of their day, whether it's all 5 days of the week. I appreciate everybody being here. It's a lot of fun to have the interactive chat and us going back and forth, and it's not just me talking to a wall. So I appreciate everybody being here. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy whatever festivities, events, things you have planned this weekend, and I will talk to you all on Monday.